Hello again, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, our weekly look at the Miami Hurricanes from the betting perspective. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by Lee Sterling himself of ParamountSports.com, your headquarters for all your prognostications on a daily basis, especially now with the Hard Rock accepting bets in Florida. There's a lot of action out there for everybody. Lee Sterling is your go-to guy for all your picks. Lee, I'm not going to promise them 100% success rate. Things are way too crazy in this world of sports betting. But last week, the Miami Hurricanes were plus 20 at one point. The line came down, I think, to plus 14 by kickoff. But Miami went to Doak Campbell Stadium, put on a really good performance, really could have won the game had there been a few things that went differently along the way there. But made a good showing of themselves. And this week, another big game on the national stage. You got the Louisville Cardinals. They're coming to town to Hard Rock Stadium, which to me looks like a gargantuan opportunity for Miami. Louisville has one loss, ranked number 9 in the country. Lee, I look at the Louisville Cardinals and I see a team with a big, fat, overrated stamp on their head. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. So I do power ratings for every team. I have them rated 17th.
Okay.
Are they terrible? No, but you're not going to find too many one-loss teams unless, you're playing in a lower conference, the Liberties or the James Madison with their type of record. So we might get to the end of the season or look back at the season and say, how did they lose to Pitt? I mean, if you're going to lose a game, how did they lose to Pitt? They definitely caught Notre Dame at the right time. I mean, are they a quality team? Yeah. What they're doing is they're not turning the ball over a whole lot. They're +6 in turnover ratio. The funniest thing, I always laugh because whenever I think of their quarterback, not Jake Plummer, Jack Plummer,
Right.
I do think of Jake, when you see the name. And, he comes over from Cal. He's been solid. I mean, he hasn't hurt their team. They've had so many injuries, especially Cunningham, their quarterback, the last couple of years. He's been in and out of their lineup. They had a couple guys banged up from time to time, but they're fairly healthy now. And they're getting production from their top two running backs. Top two running backs have almost 1,500 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. And then they have a receiver, Jamari Thrash. Guy has, I think it's like 730 yards as far as receiving, 6 touchdowns. But the thing that's crazy is their top 5 receivers all average between 12 and 17 and a half yards per reception. So they get a lot of yards after catch, which you rarely see. Usually you'll see 1, maybe 2 guys above 12, 13 yards. So they're very productive. They try to push the ball down the field. And on defense, they gamble a lot. They blitz a lot. We're just going to have to catch the blitzes. And Tyler Van Dyke is going to have to be a little quicker in his reads if Miami wants to have a chance to win the game.
Well, one thing Louisville does have is a coach that knows how to dial up the passing game. Jeff Brom is one of the best in the business. He came from the Howard Schnellenberger School of Passing Offense. Ironically, I think played for Howard at Louisville back in the day, and now he's back as their coach. And to me, the onus this week is on Shannon Dawson to get the Miami passing game straightened out. It's been a huge disappointment this entire season. Tyler Van Dyke has taken a great deal of the heat, fair or unfair. We spoke to Tyler this week. He's saying all the right things. He's cleared his mind. He's spoken to a lot of people about the situation. He's watched videotapes, Lee, of his past fantastic games, many of them a couple years ago when he was regularly putting up 350, 400 yards. Can a Tyler Van Dyke that has attempted to heal himself mentally, cleanse him of all the sins of throwing interceptions, cleanse himself of all the sins of throwing interceptions, can he come back here against Louisville and put up a big passing day?
Did you throw some holy water on him too, Gary?
I didn't. No. I get accused of a lot of things too, man. Everybody thinks I'm like an apologist for him. I just think the kid has a lot of talent. I really do. And I think that this year a lot has gone wrong. That's not all his fault. He obviously takes a share of the blame. But, for this game, Miami needs this game bad. And the question I have is, can he really bounce back here? What's the Louisville secondary like? And can Miami put up a big offensive day?
They are vulnerable, but you have to have time. You got to make your proper reads. The problem is he's not going through his reads quick enough. As a former quarterback, I can see that. He's checking down a lot. I think Shannon Dawson needs to be a little more creative. He showed a little bit going up and through Texas A&M, but since then, like Colby Young is not. He's always lined up on the left side. I think almost every single down he's in. Put him in motion. If he can't beat one-on-one coverage, put him in motion. Line him up in the slot. Do something different. And that's I think what people are most upset about. And then also, we were 10-10. And we're driving inside their 10-yard line. You got to be aggressive. We weren't aggressive on the goal line and then the next two series. And that's, I think, what bothers everyone. Play to win. We did not play to win. So, we have nothing to lose now. I mean, if we continue to play the same way we're playing on offense, it's going to be tough. The offensive line's doing their job. I mean, they have come a long, long way, and the defense played hard. I think it's up to the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. So we're gonna find out a lot, but I don't think we're quite there yet with Tyler. I don't see enough positive signs to have me back him. I'm not giving the game out to my clients, but if I had to pick a side, I'd go with Louisville. I think they're going to win this game, something like 31-24.
Ooh, more misery for the Canes fan if you're right, Lee. This has been tough, man. I wrote a column on our website. Actually came out today, and as I was researching the column and thinking about what I wanted to write, like they literally could have won every game this year, yet they're 10th in the ACC standings. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like how this entire ACC season, they're 2-4 going into this game. The 2 wins were in overtime. I mean, the entire ACC schedule is just falling apart on them. They are not this bad of a football team. They're just not. They're not the 10th best team in the ACC.
Right.
And if they lose this Louisville game now, they're going to drop even further probably. And wow. I mean, to me, that's just stunning because I think
Boston College always gets up for us, over Thanksgiving weekend on that Friday. And that's not a gimme either. So, these are the last 2 games. We need to build some momentum. We need to win this game. We need to win the next game. We need to win the bowl game. We don't want to lose recruits. Here, let me give you the most important thing. Besides that, I think he's got to find a quarterback. I like Emory. I don't know if he's the guy that can take us to the next level. So at Oregon, he did not find that quarterback. He already had a superstar there. He had Tyler here. Tyler hasn't gotten better. He's only regressed. We like what we saw from Emory, but if anyone says he's going to be a superstar, I don't think.
Way too soon.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they got to have they got a little bit of an issue here. Like, does Tyler Van Dyke come back? I think what happens this Saturday will absolutely have a massive say in that, because there's got to be some mutual give and take here in 2 weeks. Like,
and they got to look, possibly at the transfer portal.
100%. They got to look at the transfer portal no matter what. And if they're going to bring somebody in to compete with Tyler, does Tyler leave?
Right.
How does Mario Cristobal sit here and say, Tyler, I am committing to you for next season after the way this season went, regardless of what he thinks about the job that his offensive coordinator has done? And people could debate that all day long.
How about this week? Since the last 24, 48 hours, all the talk about Ken Dorsey. Now, all of a sudden, people are saying, hey, bring him in just as a outside consultant for the rest of the season. I know, you and I know it's not happening, but that's, that's the public. They want to see that. And his name's going to be floated out there. I don't think, I don't know Ken personally, but from what I've heard, he's more of an NFL guy. But if there is one job in college that might intrigue him, it's going to keep getting talked about. Would he come back to the U and maybe, be their offensive coordinator?
He has turned it down twice. He's got a lot of years in the NFL now. Those pensions are huge. So I imagine that is in his mind.
He was fired, Gary.
No,
So,
I know, but he was fired from Buffalo. You
right,
know how they just keep rehiring guys in that league. He's
right.
going to get hired. He would get hired by somebody, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh,
but probably not as an offensive coordinator. Probably have to go back to being a quarterback coach. I'm
Quarterbacks
just I'm
coach.
just throwing out there. It's going to be
Yeah,
it's going to be talked about, and it's something. There's so
100%.
many different scenarios. Tyler could come on. He could surprise me and have a great couple games and a great bowl, and then he's the guy again, and then we're in good shape. Or it could fall apart. There's been talk about him maybe going to SMU with Lashley. He had success with him. They're probably looking for someone that can maybe take them to the next level. We don't know how Emory's going to heal. There's going to be a couple other quarterbacks that are going to enter the transfer portal that will be intriguing. So a lot needs to be. There's still a lot to play for, and recruiting wise, we need to finish here with a bang.
Yeah, and what's Jakari Brown's plan? We don't know
Right.
that yet either. So there's going to be a lot going on here over the next month at Miami involving the quarterbacks. But so Lee's says that Louisville gets the edge on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium and just makes the Canes fan absolutely more miserable for Thanksgiving. And Lee, we're not going to do a show next week because of the holiday. Do you have any thoughts on the Boston College game right now?
It's too early. I mean, let's see what
Early?
happens in this game. I need to see Tyler a full game. So,
Because they've had their own struggles. They had a bad game last
yeah,
week.
yeah.
But like you said, they always get up for that last game of the year against Miami. All right, a couple other games that we wanted to talk about for this week. Clemson is at home against North Carolina. To me, one of the more interesting games this week in college football. Can the Tar Heels go into Clemson? They're 6.5-point underdogs. I know which side I would probably line up in that game. But before I say, I want to hear what you think.
So North Carolina, I just don't know if they're going to be able to move up and down the field like they have on a lot of teams. I think Clemson's going to take away their running game. I think Clemson might have found themselves. They are playing better of late. Obviously, they went through a tailspin, but I like what I see. The defense has allowed just above 28 points 3 times all year, just 3.45 yards per carry. They are allowing just 109 yards on the ground. So if you turn a team into being one-dimensional, no matter how good a quarterback, May is, and he's got a super receiver, little bit easier defense. What's crazy is the running back, Phil Moffitt, the backup running back for Clemson. I think he's better than Will Shipley. I was shocked. I played him when they were playing Notre Dame. I thought it was a perfect situational play. Shipley fumbles a lot. Not that he's not a good back. I think he's a better change of pace guy. And Moffitt, he had a huge game. I think he had like 140, 150 yards in that game. And he ran through Notre Dame. Bigger, stronger, faster, and fumbles less. So maybe we see him starting to get more time here. I like Clemson in this game, 38-27. And there's even some talk about Dabo maybe going to Texas A&M. That's the new, that's the new
If
rumor. New
If Dabo
challenge.
was smart, he absolutely would take that job. He's run his course at Clemson. Can't possibly replicate what he's done in the past. It's time. It's time for Clemson to do something different. It's time for Dabo to do something different. I think he should go to Texas A&M. That'd be a great landing spot for him. So you say Clemson by 9. The line is 6.5. It's going to be a close game either way. I agree. I agree.
I have 38-27. I have 11.1.
Yep. Oh, right. Okay. All right. And then the other game we wanted to talk about is Georgia. They're -10 on the road at Tennessee. Any vulnerability at all, Lee? Are they really going to let the Georgia Bulldogs sail to a third straight national title?
If you remember the game last year, there's a lot of hype going into that game. Tennessee went to Georgia. The weather wasn't great, but they were dominated. I mean, it was a 13-point win. They won Georgia by 13, 24, and 23 points last 3 years. The margin of victory did not really tell you, if you watched the game, how much of a dominating performance it was by the Georgia Bulldogs, especially their defense in that game. So Georgia is now running the football really well. It pounded Ole Miss over 300 rushing yards, while Missouri pounded Tennessee 255 rushing yards. if Missouri can put 255 on them, you got to think that Georgia's going to do the same or more. Joe Milton, I just can't trust this guy. I mean, he looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, throws the ball all over the place. I mean, he'll throw a couple of balls. He can throw the ball. I heard he can throw the ball like 80, 85 yards. But the problem is throwing it accurately and to the right receiver. That's been his problem. Whereas Georgia's Carson Beck has really come around. This is only their third road game for Georgia. But in the first road game, he looked a little, I wouldn't say unsettled, but it took him a while to get going. It looks like he's your unquestioned leader now. He's thrown for at least 300 yards in 5 of the last 7 games. And if Tennessee couldn't compete with Alabama or Missouri, I just don't see them competing against their third and final ranked opponent here before they play Vanderbilt next week. I like Georgia 37-20.
Wow. How about moving forward? Can anybody compete with Georgia?
Maybe Alabama. Alabama's getting better. And I think Oregon is maybe the only other team that can. I don't think that Michigan or Ohio State, I don't think is good enough up front to contend with them. Michigan's good enough up front, but I don't think they can, throw the ball enough on them or, stop those guys, their tight ends and receivers. So I think Oregon might be the sleeper. If you're looking for a sleeper, they could end up running the table and then beating Washington. I'm not saying I would bet on them.
Yeah.
You're asking me, can someone do it? I would say Alabama and Oregon 1-2 are the only teams I think that might have a chance.
Yeah, that would not be good, man. Can you imagine poor Mario having to sit there and watch his former team that he built the bulk of the team and everything go and compete for the national title now? Wow. Somebody please beat Oregon, please. I do not want to see
Mario. Washington did, but they're going to probably have to play them again in the Pac-12 championship game in a couple weeks. So
right.
That was a great game. If you didn't watch the first
game,
that's right. It was incredible. Back and forth, and probably will be the same 2 really good quarterbacks.
Right. All right, Lee. Well, you have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for your picks the whole season. ParamountSports.com, the number there, 800-400-9741. You got any specials for anybody this week?
Yeah, we do. What we're going to do is Thursday and Friday, you want to try out all the sports, all 4 sports, football, basketball, hockey, UFC, 7 selections, $17. So want to hopefully build the bankroll. A couple weeks ago, we did it. Went 7-1 on 8 plays. So 7 total selections, 4 sports, $17. And then if you want to get our phone service where we rate the plays from 10 to 50 units from now through November 30th, we don't call it November, we call it Dovember. Everything $157. And there's action, every day, like Thanksgiving weekend, next weekend, it's heavy Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this is a good weekend this weekend and always great over the Thanksgiving holiday. So maybe you got some relatives that are coming in from town and you don't want to talk to them nonstop. You want to, look over their shoulder and watch some football action and wager on it now. It's legal. Or if you're like me, I'm actually going to be up in New York City for 8 days. So I'll be up there. I got like 6-7 different outs there with a legal sports book. So you want to have fun. I'll be at the Dolphins-Jets game. I'll be on Friday. And then the next day, the Heat and Brooklyn Nets. So if anyone's going to either game, hit me up on Twitter at Paramount Sports. DM me and maybe I'll meet you and buy you a beer.
Oh, that's nice of you. All right, Lee, we'll have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll check back in with you soon. For Lee Sterling, I'm Gary Furman. Thanks for joining us once again on You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling. See you next time, everybody.